Welcome to the Remarkable Canadians series by Sobirovs Law Firm. My name is Rahmat Sobirov, and today I'm privileged to have Joshua Tan. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Rahmat.
Joshua is a serial entrepreneur and investor. He comes all the way from Malaysia to Canada. So let's start with your background, Joshua. Can you tell us, until this time, until you came to Canada as a business owner, what have you been doing?
I worked as a market research analyst at KPMG in Malaysia. My clients were mostly internal clients for the partners and such. And then after that, I decided to come out and do and provide market research consulting on my own. At the same time, I had interest into web programming, web designing, and so on and so forth. And I did it on my own, and I started starting up different companies.
Let me go back to the history. It's very interesting that you had a KPMG job, which was it 9 to 5? No.
Yeah, it's 9
it
to 5.
was 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Then you decided at certain stage something maybe sparked in your brain, and you wanted to do something on your own.
Yeah.
What was that moment?
I guess I always had it in me. I always had that determination, that ambition to start something on my own. I just didn't have the proper experience, the proper network and money, and the proper capital to start.
You say that you were a natural entrepreneur, however, it took time for you to realize that.
Yeah, there are different things that really come up and show when you become an entrepreneur that you wouldn't experience in a 9 to 5 job.
I see.
Yeah.
What was your first business you started after leaving KPMG?
I did websites for companies back then. The internet was still coming up, and in Malaysia, there were some companies who didn't even have a website, or they weren't properly done, wasn't professionally done. So I did that for them. And the added value service I provided to them was I did a bit of market research for them, because that was my background in KPMG. So I did the design, the copywriting, and the research for them, and I built their websites for them.
Did you exit that initial business, or is it still running?
No,
You exited totally. Okay, and what happened next?
While I was doing the websites and stuff, I was already dabbling into poker. What happened after that was just 2 to 3 years. I went to Macau, I went to Manila, around Southeast Asia. We call it grinding, just playing poker professionally.
How successful was that venture?
I did quite well for myself, but it's a very hard way to make easy money. But I enjoyed myself. I made a lot of good contacts during my stint back then. But I knew that I was young that time. So I knew that this won't be sustainable. I'm not going to do this for the long term. I'm just going to milk as much money as I can from playing poker, and then get back to Malaysia and start my next idea.
What was that next idea?
My next idea, it was related to the applications actually. It was in the gaming industry.
How come Canada came to your radar? And when it happened, what happened that you suddenly started to be interested in Canada?
So in the midst of my entrepreneurial journey in Malaysia, my wife and I, we met. We have a spiritual mentor, a spiritual guide, and we obviously were very much into the teachings that he was teaching. And he was also running a business of his own, whereby he consults clients and companies on various issues, relationships, career, money, and so on and so forth, right? So it's a discipline where we call it geomancy. It's a very broad discipline. There's feng shui, there's pachi in the Chinese culture, So he was running this business, and he thought that myself and him, Nelson, we could be a good fit with each other, where I would run his operations, the HR, finance, marketing, and so on and so forth, and help him to find a way to scale his business, right? And I went into the business with him. I observed how he did, how he consulted the clients, where the revenue came from. Besides consultation, he was also doing pretty well for himself selling gemstones, right? So I thought that would be an interesting sector in his business to tap into. What I thought was I should find gemstones which only come from a particular location, because other gemstones like citrine, amethyst, sapphire, emerald, you could find them in different countries, Brazil, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and so on and so forth. And then I found there were two actually very popular gemstones that only come from Canada, right? One of them being Ammolite. Ammolite is the name of the gemstone, and it comes from the fossil ammonite, right? This ammonite is a squid-shaped looking thing with a hard shell. It roamed in the seas back in the dinosaur days, right? Yeah. And you can find ammonite in other countries, right? Like Brazil and then China as well, right? But most of the time, the ammonite that you find is grayish in color, it's brown, right? It's dull, it's a fossil. So what makes the ammonite that comes out of Canada so special, right? When it comes out, it has a lot of colors.
So what's the story with Ammolite?
When the miners found that time it was called the ammonite, this bunch of fossils, and it was so special with all the different spectrum of colors there. They realized that this could be turned into a gemstone, right? And they petitioned for it. They worked very hard for it. I think these people, they're in Alberta, Calgary, and Lethbridge, right? They formed a consortium and they managed to get it identified as a gemstone.
Now, your spiritual mentor, he had his business running, but you wanted to scale it up and make it more optimized in a way, right? So how was that? Was it a difficult journey?
It was more difficult for him, right? Because he's very used to doing the way he does things, right? And I had to convince him to move to selling these products so that it's scalable, right? Because there's only so much time you can spend in the day, you know, consulting your clients, right? It was a difficult period, but we managed to overcome that. And actually, one thing led to another. So there was like two gemstones, right? Ammolite. The other one, it's called a Auralite 23. So that comes from Thunder Bay.
Thunder Bay, I see.
And what we realized is that besides just doing these two products for the metaphysical or geomancy market, we realized that Ammolite could be turned into jewelry for the jewelry market.
And you have a beautiful shop, by the way. Congratulations. It's really done in a feng shui style. Congratulations on that. Do you get the stones raw without any processing, or is there any processing involved too?
Yes. For Ammolite, yes. After you retrieve it from the earth, right, there's a lot of processing to be done. For Auralite 23, also some processing, washing the stones, but not as extensive as Ammolite.
Now you've identified Canada as a possible source country for your business, sourcing the stones, the gemstones. What was the next step that you took?
Yeah, the next step was to negotiate an exclusive distributorship, right? Exclusivity for these two stones to distribute it in Asia. So that's what we did for Ammolite through the company Corite in Calgary. And for Auralite 23, we negotiated directly with the miner who's based in Thunder Bay. And so basically the Auralite 23, we get it directly from the mines. That's a problem with the gemstone industry. There are a lot of fakes in the market. Sometimes the middle person that you get it from, they don't even know that they're selling a non-genuine gemstone. Yeah, they would know better.
Was it difficult to enter this market in Canada?
I guess the major obstacles that we experienced coming here was more of a cash flow issue. For example, we came here, we needed to rent an office, rent a store, right? Most of the landlords, they will be hesitant to do it on a month-to-month basis with us.
Yes.
I have to pay the whole year because there were many cases of people just up and leave.
Going bankrupt.
And just leave. Like even for my residential purposes, I had to pay the full year.
Oh wow! So rent was one issue. Any other issues?
Yeah, sometimes there can be different culture clashes, but when you make the best of each different culture, right, each different thing, that's where you get the best results.
Let's delve into your business. It's called Kaimirra Tutan, and the link will be below. Kaimirra Tutan, it has one shop, but it's more export oriented.
There's Kaimirra, right, in Malaysia. That's the jewelry store. And then we created a different brand. It's called Talimu. That's the shop. And that one right now, it sells, as a retail, it sells Auralite 23.
Sorry for the blunt question. Do you need a shop in Canada when you are exporting outside of Canada?
In the midst of doing the research into Canada, we realized that it's a huge untapped market in Canada, North America as a whole. And being in Toronto is a good base for me to get into America as well, yes. Right? So that's when we decided, no, let's just have a shop, a base in Toronto so that we could tap into that market as well.
For those who are watching us today, what do they have to realize or be prepared for when they want to do business in Canada?
Yeah, I think my best advice would be understand the culture first. Try to understand how people, do things here. Yeah, don't impose your own
on your own preconceptions.
Correct. Yeah, preconceptions. Yeah.
Looking back, would you advise someone who wants to do business in Canada to come and visit Canada as a tourist before?
For most cases, I would advise you to come to the country first, explore and try to get used to the culture here, and then only decide to start the business here.
Other than business, how is life overall in Canada?
The people here, the food is actually good here.
Not bad, huh?
Not bad, and you have a wide variety of choices because there's just so many people from different parts of the world coming here. Yeah.
Is there anything that I missed asking from you? Do you want to share anything that would help foreign entrepreneurs thinking of doing business in Canada?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Get Mr. Rahman's help for you to do it. Take the lead, but come here as a tourist.
As a visitor first.
Yeah. I think for most people that would help a lot instead of following my path where I just come here.
Joshua, last question. What does your next 5 years look like in terms of business? What are your plans?
My wife and I were very excited in terms of the business expansion. We recognize the potential in the gemstones that we're doing, and we're planning to open more retail outlets in the shopping malls or into the high-end shopping streets in Canada.
Well, Joshua, thank you very much for your time and insights and valuable experience that you shared with us. I really appreciate it, and I hope my audience will appreciate it too. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All the best.